The tension in the first-class cabin is palpable. High above the clouds, on a private jet bound for a destination unknown to most, a strange interaction begins to unfold. The sleek interior of the plane offers a pristine view of luxury, from the polished leather seats to the shimmering overhead lights. But this serene environment is shattered by an unexpected confrontation between two women from entirely different worlds. The first woman, seated in one of the plush leather chairs, is a woman of power. Dressed in immaculate clothing, she exudes authority. Every inch of her posture, from the way she sits up straight to her carefully placed hands on the armrests, speaks of someone who has mastered the art of public image. Melania Trump, or someone remarkably similar, occupies this role. She is a symbol of poise, grace, and control. Her presence alone commands attention, yet for all her outward composure, there's something beneath the surface, a hidden vulnerability. Across from her stands the flight attendant, a woman whose name we don't yet know but whose presence is impossible to ignore. Her uniform is impeccable, from the navy blue skirt to the crisp white blouse. Her manner is polite, professional, but something in her eyes hints at a deeper unrest. A flicker of emotion, one that cannot be hidden behind the veil of civility. This is not the interaction that Melania expected when she boarded the flight. In fact, nothing about this flight feels like it's going to follow the typical routine of a private jet ride. It begins with something simple. A drink order. "I'll have a sparkling water, please," Melania requests, her voice soft but firm. The flight attendant nods and disappears into the galley, leaving a brief moment of stillness between them. But when she returns, there is a subtle shift in the air. The flight attendant hands over a glass that isn't quite what was asked for. "It's just still water, ma'am," the attendant says with a calm but distant tone. Melania looks at the glass, a slight wrinkle of confusion appearing on her forehead. "I asked for sparkling water," Melania replies, her voice laced with barely concealed irritation. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the flight attendant says, her voice flat but not apologetic. "This is all we have at the moment." It's a simple misunderstanding, perhaps. A slip of memory, a mistake in service. But there is something off about the way the flight attendant speaks. There's a hint of dismissiveness, an undercurrent of something more than just a misorder. "I don't think that's acceptable," Melania responds coolly. "I've paid for this flight, and I expect the service I'm entitled to." The flight attendant's eyes flicker momentarily, and then she lowers her gaze to the glass she's holding. There is a pause, an uncomfortable silence stretching between them like an invisible rope. The tension is growing, thickening the air with each passing moment. The flight attendant, however, doesn't apologize. Instead, she speaks again, and her tone is sharper now. "I'm sure you've paid for a lot of things in your life, ma'am. But what you can't buy is respect. Not from everyone." Melania is taken aback, the words slicing through the thin veil of civility that hung between them. There's no mistaking the challenge in the flight attendant's voice now. Her eyes lock onto Melania's with a certain intensity, an energy that feels almost palpable in the confined space of the cabin. It's a direct challenge, one that demands acknowledgement. For a brief moment, Melania's composure falters. Her brow furrows, her lips tighten into a thin line. She shifts slightly in her seat, clearly taken by surprise. But she's been in high-stakes situations before, and she knows how to handle herself. Her public persona has always been one of unflappable calm, even when chaos swirled around her. This situation, though, is different. The subtle jab the flight attendant has thrown has struck closer to home than Melania expected. She doesn't respond immediately, instead taking a long, deliberate breath. "Excuse me?" she says, her voice a little colder now, more measured. The flight attendant steps closer, a small smirk playing at the corner of her lips. "You think you can buy everything, don't you?" she says softly, her words cutting through the air. "But you can't buy everything. You can't buy loyalty, and you can't buy truth." Melania stares at her, confused and now wary. She hasn't encountered this level of insolence from someone in her position before. Her mind races, trying to make sense of what is happening. Who is this woman? Why does she seem to know more than she should? She looks at the flight attendant, but all she sees is a woman who isn't backing down. The glare in the attendant's eyes reveals an unspoken history, a connection that Melania doesn't yet understand. "I don't know what you're insinuating," Melania replies, her voice firm but increasingly distant. "But if you continue like this, I will have to report you." The flight attendant doesn't flinch. "Report me? To whom? To your husband? To your team of handlers? You think they'll fix this? You think they can cover up the truth that easily?" The words hit Melania with a sudden, forceful impact. Her mind races now, trying to piece together the meaning behind the flight attendant's cryptic statements. Truth? Cover up? What truth? What could this woman possibly know? Her eyes narrow, scanning the attendant's face for some clue, some sign of what has triggered this confrontation. But there is no answer in the flight attendant's gaze. Only resolve. The tension in the cabin is now unbearable. The political figure is no longer in control. She feels a shift within herself, a brief flash of vulnerability. She realizes, in that moment, that she is no longer the one holding the upper hand. The flight attendant has turned the tables, and the words she has spoken are just the beginning of something far deeper. The flight attendant stands her ground, waiting for a response. Melania is silent for a long moment, the wheels turning in her mind as she considers her options. She has been in public life for long enough to know that every action, every word carries weight. And yet, something about this situation feels different. There's a rawness to the flight attendant's words, a sharpness that cuts through the layers of political power, the carefully constructed image. In the space between them, the air thickens with the knowledge that something is about to change. This encounter is no longer just about a missed drink order or an insult. It's about something much deeper, something personal, a reckoning that neither woman fully understands yet. The political figure's mind is racing, but her outward composure remains intact. The words of the flight attendant reverberate in her ears, and she can't shake the feeling that this is more than just a momentary lapse in service. Something deeper is at play. She's been around enough to recognize when a person has an agenda, and right now, the flight attendant's words are laced with a hidden agenda she can't quite decipher. The taunts, the insinuations, they aren't random. They're deliberate, calculated. "I don't know what you're talking about," Melania says, her voice barely betraying her growing unease. It's a defense mechanism, an automatic response to deflect what feels like an incoming attack. But the flight attendant is relentless. "You've been hiding from the truth for years," the attendant says, her voice now tinged with bitterness. There's no longer a hint of politeness. This isn't customer service anymore. This is personal. "Do you really think all those people you've manipulated over the years haven't figured you out?" Melania's pulse quickens, but she holds her ground. Her first instinct is to brush it off, to pretend it's all nonsense. She's heard worse over the years. She's dealt with the scrutiny, the insults, the ever-watchful eye of the media. But something about this woman, something in the intensity of her gaze, causes doubt to creep into her mind. "You don't know anything about me," Melania says, her words a little sharper now, betraying the tension building within her. The calm veneer she's always maintained is starting to crack. "What do you want, exactly?" The flight attendant steps closer, her eyes narrowing as if weighing Melania's response. "I want you to face the truth for once. For once, stop hiding behind your image. You think that wealth, that status, can shield you from the things you've done? It doesn't." For a moment, Melania's breath catches in her throat. It's the first time in years that she's felt truly shaken. She's spent so long building the image that the world knows her for, the elegant, poised, untouchable figure, that the idea of someone seeing past that facade is both alien and terrifying. And yet, here's this woman, standing in front of her, doing just that. "I don't have time for this," Melania snaps, trying to regain control of the situation. She stands up, but the flight attendant mirrors her movement, staying close, maintaining the proximity. The power dynamic is shifting, and Melania can feel it. "Oh, you have plenty of time," the flight attendant says, her voice cold but firm. "You've been running away from your past for so long, pretending it doesn't matter. pretending you didn't crush everyone in your path to get here. But it does matter. And I'm here to make sure you remember it. A sharp pang of recognition strikes Melania, and her eyes widen briefly. This isn't just an angry employee. This is something far more personal, something from her past that she can't quite place. The attendant's words, the bitterness in her tone, it's all too familiar. Her mind races back, trying to piece together the puzzle. A former colleague? An acquaintance? Someone from her childhood, perhaps? But nothing fits. The attendant watches her carefully, sensing the growing realization. You don't remember, do you? That's how it always goes, doesn't it? You use people until they're no longer useful to you, and then you forget about them. Melania swallows hard, her composure faltering for the first time in years. The woman's words cut deeper than any public scandal, any media attack she's ever endured. This is personal, and it's getting under her skin in a way that no one ever has. I've never. Melania starts, but the words catch in her throat. She's trying to defend herself, to dismiss the insinuation, but the weight of the flight attendant's stare silences her. You have. The attendant interrupts, her voice almost a whisper now, filled with quiet fury. You think the world doesn't see through you, but I see you. I've seen everything you've done. Every lie. Every betrayal. The air feels thicker now, heavier, as if the plane itself is holding its breath, waiting for the truth to spill out. Melania's mind races, but she still can't place the source of the attendant's anger. Who is she? And why is she so determined to destroy her? Who are you? Melania asks, her voice almost trembling despite herself. She's tried to maintain her calm, but the intensity of the confrontation is too much. The flight attendant has broken through the walls she's built around herself, and now Melania is left vulnerable, exposed. The flight attendant steps back slightly, allowing the moment to hang in the air between them. Then, slowly, she speaks, her voice a mix of sadness and venom. I'm the daughter of someone you betrayed. Someone you promised to help, but when the time came, you turned your back on them. You left them to rot while you climbed higher and higher, never looking down at the wreckage you left behind. The words hit like a punch. Melania's heart skips a beat. Betrayal? A promise broken? She racks her brain, trying to remember the name, the face, the moment she's being accused of. She feels as if the ground beneath her has shifted, and she's falling into something dark and familiar. The flight attendant continues, her words growing more intense. Do you remember her name? Do you remember what you did? My mother, she was one of your biggest supporters. She believed in you. And you. She trails off, the anger and hurt too much to contain. You ruined her. You ruined everything. And now you're sitting here, pretending none of it ever happened. Melania's mind flashes to a distant memory, a name half forgotten. She's tried to block it out, to bury it beneath layers of success and privilege. But now, as the flight attendant speaks, pieces begin to fall into place. Her mother's charity, the promises made, it all comes rushing back. She can see it now, the moment she chose not to help, the moment she chose to protect herself over someone who needed her. The truth is more painful than she ever imagined. This woman, this flight attendant, is right. She has spent years building an image, a reputation, but at what cost? What was the price of her silence? Her success? Was it worth it? Melania stands there, trapped in the weight of her own choices, as the flight attendant's words continue to echo in the silence between them. There is no turning back now. The past is here, and it's demanding to be reckoned with. The room feels suffocating, and Melania can't escape the weight of the flight attendant's words. Her heart pounds in her chest as the harsh truth sinks deeper. For a moment, everything feels blurry. The walls of the cabin seem to close in around her, and the steady hum of the engines is drowned out by the noise in her head. The last thing she wants to do is admit it, but she knows the flight attendant is right. She can feel the guilt creeping up, clawing at her, threatening to expose everything she has worked so hard to conceal. It's a feeling she's been running from for years, and now, there's nowhere left to hide. The flight attendant stands there, unmoved, watching Melania's face for any sign of recognition or regret. The tension between them is almost tangible, stretching the silence into something unbearable. For the first time in a long while, Melania feels vulnerable. In this moment, the polished image she's carefully curated over the years feels like a lie, and the walls she's built around herself seem paper-thin. The very foundation of everything she's worked for is beginning to crack. "You can deny it all you want," the flight attendant says, her voice low but filled with conviction. "But the truth doesn't change. You were the one who betrayed her. You were the one who chose your own ambition over the people who believed in you. And now you want to sit here and pretend that none of it matters." Melania swallows hard, her throat dry. She opens her mouth to respond, but the words won't come. How does she explain the unexplainable? How does she justify the choices she made all those years ago? She doesn't know if she can. She doesn't know if she even has the right to try. "You ruined her, you know," the flight attendant continues, her voice growing more intense. "My mother wasn't the only one you betrayed. There were others too. People who trusted you. People who gave everything for your cause. And in the end, they were nothing more than stepping stones to you. Your success came at the expense of so many others. You used people like my mother, discarded them when they were no longer useful to you." Melania clenches her fists, her nails digging into the palms of her hands. The anger rising inside her is familiar, but it doesn't feel like her own. It's the anger of someone who has been wronged, someone who has spent years holding on to their pain and resentment. The flight attendant's words are slicing through her defenses, and the anger is pushing her to react, to defend herself. But she doesn't know how. She doesn't know if she can. "I didn't," Melania begins, but she cuts herself off. The words don't make sense. She knows she didn't choose the easiest path, but the way the flight attendant is framing it, it feels like nothing she did was ever enough. "You don't know what I had to sacrifice," she says instead, her voice shaking slightly. "I had to make choices. Hard choices. You don't understand what it's like to be in my position." The flight attendant raises an eyebrow, a hint of disbelief in her gaze. "I don't understand? You think I don't understand sacrifice? You think I don't know what it's like to lose everything because of someone else's ambition?" For a moment, the silence hangs between them like a heavy curtain. Melania can see the raw emotion in the flight attendant's eyes, the hurt, the anger, the years of bitterness and pain. She's not just a flight attendant. She's a woman who has been through hell, and Melania was a part of that hell. She was the one who made the choices, who decided who would suffer and who would benefit. "I didn't have a choice," Melania says, more to herself than to the flight attendant. "I didn't have a choice." The flight attendant scoffs. "You always had a choice. You just chose the easy one. You chose power. You chose status. You chose to leave people like my mother in the dust, and now you want to act like you didn't have a choice? You can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me." The words sting, and Melania feels the weight of them more than she's willing to admit. She's been living in a carefully constructed bubble for so long that the reality of what she's done, the consequences of her actions, have never truly hit her until now. She's spent so many years pretending that everything was fine, that everything was justified. But the truth is undeniable. The flight attendant is right. Melania did choose power, status, and success at the expense of the people who helped her along the way. For the first time, she allows herself to feel the weight of her choices. The guilt is suffocating, and she feels herself sinking under the pressure of it. She's spent so much of her life hiding from the consequences of her actions, pushing them aside in favor of maintaining the perfect image. But now, there's no escaping it. The flight attendant is forcing her to face the truth, and it's more than Melania can bear. "You think I'm just some villain," Melania says, the words coming out in a rush. "You think I don't know what I've done? You think I don't regret it? I've made mistakes, okay? I've made mistakes, but I've paid the price for them. I've worked hard for everything I have. You think I just got here because of luck?" The flight attendant shakes her head slowly. "You don't get it, do you? It's not about luck. It's about honesty. It's about integrity. You've spent your life building an empire on lies, on broken promises, and on people like my mother who you cast aside when they were no longer useful to you. It's not about luck. It's about the choices you made, and the people you hurt along the way. Melania feels a surge of frustration, but there's nothing she can say. The flight attendant is right. The truth is undeniable. Her success came at a cost she's never truly been willing to face. And now, in this moment, she is forced to confront it head-on. The air between them is thick with the weight of their shared history, and the silence stretches on, heavy with the understanding that nothing will ever be the same again. Melania's carefully constructed world is beginning to crumble, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. The flight attendant turns to leave, but before she does, she offers one final remark, a parting shot that cuts deeper than any insult could. You'll never be free of this, you know. Not until you face the truth. Not until you make things right. And with that, she walks away, leaving Melania standing there, alone, with the truth she's spent so long running from. The room feels colder now, even though the air conditioning hums steadily above them. Melania stands alone, her hands trembling slightly as the gravity of the situation settles in. The flight attendant's words echo in her mind, louder now than ever before. You'll never be free of this, not until you face the truth. There's no escaping the stark reality that the flight attendant has brought into the light. Every carefully crafted image, every calculated decision she's made to shield herself from her past, is now irrelevant. The past, the choices, the betrayals, everything is coming back to haunt her, and there's nowhere left to run. She knows the world sees her as untouchable, as a symbol of grace and power, but in this small, confined space, she is anything but. Her facade, that perfect exterior she's carefully built, is cracked. For the first time in years, she feels small, vulnerable, exposed. The weight of everything she's tried to bury feels suffocating. There's no escaping it now. The truth has already been spoken. The only question that remains is whether she will face it, confront the consequences, or continue to hide behind her own carefully constructed lies. She takes a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but it doesn't work. The guilt gnaws at her, relentless. How many people has she stepped on to get to where she is now? How many promises has she broken? How many lives has she ruined in the pursuit of power? She's spent her life running from the consequences, hiding behind the walls of wealth and influence, believing that if she could just keep moving forward, it would all fade away. But now, the walls are closing in. The flight attendant's accusations ring in her ears, each word digging deeper than the last. There's no way to erase what's been done. A flash of her past hits her. She sees herself standing at a crossroads, faced with a decision that could have changed everything. A younger version of herself, eager for success, hungry for recognition, had been offered a choice: help someone who was struggling, someone who needed support, or turn away and pursue her own ambitions. She remembers the cold calculation in that moment. She remembers how easily she chose the latter. She chose herself. She chose power. She chose to leave people behind when they no longer served her purpose. That decision has haunted her ever since, and now, standing in this cramped cabin, with the weight of the flight attendant's accusation hanging over her, it feels impossible to ignore. She was always so good at silencing the voice of guilt, at pushing it aside. But today, the voice is louder than ever, and she can no longer pretend it doesn't exist. She thinks of the flight attendant, the woman standing there so boldly, so unapologetically. The woman who isn't afraid to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Melania envies that bravery, even as it stings. For the first time, she's forced to acknowledge that the world isn't going to protect her anymore. The adoration, the praise, the perfect image, none of it matters when the truth is staring you in the face. She's been living a lie, and now it's too late to pretend otherwise. Her thoughts drift to her family, her husband, her closest allies. They've all been a part of this world, this carefully constructed illusion of perfection. But what if they knew the truth? What if they knew how far she was willing to go to maintain her position? Would they still stand by her? Or would they see her for what she really is? The thought of losing everything she's worked for, the power, the status, the security, is almost too much to bear. But deep down, she knows she has to face it. She can't keep hiding behind her image forever. She stands there for a long time, lost in her own thoughts, unsure of what to do next. There's no easy way out of this. The damage has been done. The betrayal, the lies, the compromises, none of it can be undone. And yet there's a part of her that still wants to believe there's a way to make it right. But how? Where does she even begin? Her mind races, trying to piece together a plan, a way forward. She could apologize, of course. She could admit her mistakes and try to rebuild, but would it be enough? The flight attendant's words still sting, echoing in her mind. You ruined her. You ruined everything. Could she ever undo that damage? Could she truly redeem herself, or was she forever tainted by the choices she made? She knows the answer isn't simple. It's never simple. But there's a small spark of something within her, a flicker of recognition that maybe, just maybe, it's not too late. It's not too late to change. To do better. To face the consequences and stop running. But it will take everything she has. It will take honesty, something she's never been able to fully embrace. It will take accountability, a willingness to own up to the things she's done and the people she's hurt along the way. And most of all, it will take courage, something she hasn't needed in a long time. For the first time in years, she feels something that isn't fear or resentment. It's a strange, unfamiliar sensation, but it's there. It's a sense of responsibility, a weight she hasn't felt before. She's spent so much of her life running from it, but now, it's impossible to ignore. If she wants to move forward, if she wants to be free of the guilt and the lies, she has to face it. She has to confront the past and make things right. As the plane continues its journey through the clouds, Melania stands there, contemplating the path ahead. There's no turning back now. The truth has been laid bare, and it's up to her to decide what to do with it. For the first time, she wonders if she's ready to take the next step. To stop hiding. To face the consequences. To rebuild. It's a terrifying thought, but it's the only way forward. And for the first time, she's ready to face whatever comes next. The flight attendant was right. She can't run forever. But maybe, just maybe, she can find a way to make things right. It's a long road ahead, but the first step has been taken. Now, it's up to Melania to decide if she's willing to walk it. Melania sits quietly, the weight of the moment pressing down on her shoulders. She's always been a woman of control, a master of maintaining her poise in the face of anything, but now, she feels as though that control is slipping away, and she doesn't know how to stop it. The flight attendant's words still echo in her mind, playing on a loop. You ruined her. You ruined everything. The truth, harsh and undeniable, has settled into her chest, and there's no escaping it. She can no longer hide behind the armor of public persona she's carefully constructed over the years. The walls she's built are crumbling. Her hands, once steady and sure, are shaking now. She's never felt so vulnerable. The guilt is suffocating, a constant presence that she can't escape. She's spent her entire life in the public eye, always the one in control, always the one people looked up to. But now, for the first time, she's on the receiving end of judgment. And it stings. Every word the flight attendant spoke cuts deeper than any critic, any media attack, any scandal she's faced before. This is personal. This is real. There's a voice inside her telling her to fight back, to dismiss the flight attendant's accusations as just that, accusations. She could tell herself it's all lies, that the woman has no idea what she's talking about. But she knows better. Deep down, she knows that the flight attendant is right. She's been running from the truth for so long, burying it beneath layers of success, wealth, and power. But now, that truth is standing right in front of her, and there's no denying it any longer. Melania feels the sting of regret settle in her chest. She can't change what she's done. She can't undo the mistakes, the broken promises, the people she's left behind. The thought of facing it all, the hurt, the anger, the damage, feels like an insurmountable task. But she also knows that there's no other way forward. She can't keep living in the shadows of her past. She can't keep pretending that everything is fine when she knows it's not. She stands, pacing back and forth in the confined space of the cabin, trying to clear her mind, to make sense of everything. She's always been good at compartmentalizing, at pushing aside the uncomfortable feelings and focusing on what's in front of her. But today, that doesn't seem possible. The truth is too loud, too persistent. And for the first time, she realizes that it's not just about her anymore. It's about the people she's hurt. It's about the legacy she's built, and the toll it's taken on others. The flight attendant's words haunt her. You think you can buy everything, but you can't buy respect. Not from everyone. It's a statement that cuts straight to the core of who she is. For so long, she's used her status and wealth as a shield, believing that they could protect her from everything, including the consequences of her actions. But the flight attendant has stripped that shield away. She's forced Melania to confront the reality that no amount of money, no amount of power, can shield her from the truth. Melania stops pacing, taking a deep breath. She knows what she has to do. The question is whether she has the courage to do it. It would be easy to walk away, to pretend it never happened, to continue living in the bubble she's created. But deep down, she knows that's not an option. She can't keep running. Not anymore. She thinks about the people she's hurt, the ones she's stepped on to get to the top, the ones she's promised things and never delivered. The flight attendant, with her raw emotion and unwavering conviction, has reminded Melania of something she's tried so hard to forget: the cost of her success. The price of power. It wasn't just her own happiness that she sacrificed. It was the happiness of others. People like the flight attendant's mother, people who believed in her and trusted her, only to be cast aside when they were no longer useful. Melania's heart aches with the weight of it. She's spent so long running from the truth, hiding from the consequences of her actions. But now, it's time to stop hiding. It's time to face what she's done, to take responsibility for the harm she's caused. It's the hardest thing she's ever had to do, but it's the only way forward. She walks to the back of the cabin, finding the flight attendant standing by the galley. There's a tense silence between them as Melania approaches. The flight attendant doesn't look up at first, but when she does, their eyes meet. There's no anger in the flight attendant's gaze, no smug satisfaction. There's only quiet resolve. "I'm sorry," Melania says, her voice quiet but firm. "I didn't know. I didn't realize how much I hurt you, how much I hurt your mother. But I do now. And I know I can't change what I've done, but I want to make it right. I want to do better." The flight attendant doesn't say anything for a long moment. The words seem to hang in the air, suspended between them. Then, finally, she speaks. "It's not about what you want, Melania. It's about what you do. It's about showing that you've learned. That you understand the damage you've caused and that you're willing to fix it." Melania nods, feeling a weight lift slightly off her chest. It's not much, but it's a start. She knows that the road ahead won't be easy. She knows that making amends won't be an overnight process. But it's a step in the right direction. And for the first time in a long time, she feels like she's on the path to something real. "I'm ready," Melania says. "I'm ready to face whatever comes next." The flight attendant watches her for a moment, then nods slowly. "Good. Because it's going to be a long road. But it's the only road worth taking." And with that, the tension in the air begins to shift, just a little. The weight of the past still lingers, but there's a glimmer of hope now, a possibility of redemption. Melania knows that it will take time, and that the journey will be difficult. But for the first time, she's ready to take it. The truth has finally caught up with her, and now, it's up to her to decide what she does with it. Melania stands there, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on her chest. The flight attendant's words still echo in her ears, and she can't shake the feeling of unease that has settled deep within her. The past has come crashing into the present, and now there's no running from it. For so long, she's hidden behind a mask of perfection, carefully crafted, meticulously maintained, but that mask has been ripped away, and the person staring back at her is one she doesn't recognize. The guilt gnaws at her, an insistent reminder of the choices she's made, the people she's hurt. She walks back to her seat slowly, feeling the weight of every step. The eyes of the world, the public's adoration, the praise, the power, all of it has always been within her grasp, but now it feels meaningless. It's a hollow shell, an illusion she can no longer cling to. The applause, the constant validation, it was all built on the backs of those she had cast aside, those she had betrayed to get where she is now. She knows it, and she can't deny it anymore. As she sits back down in her seat, her hands shake slightly. There's no comfort to be found here, no safe space to hide. The reality of her situation is too overwhelming. She can't ignore the things she's done, the people she's wronged. Her mind races, trying to find a way out, a way to justify the years she's spent building this image of herself. But there's no justification left. The truth has come to light, and there's nothing she can do to erase it. She closes her eyes for a moment, trying to calm herself, trying to think clearly. The flight attendant's face flashes in her mind, so resolute, so unwavering in her beliefs. For a moment, Melania envies that strength. The flight attendant isn't afraid to speak the truth, to stand up for what she believes in. She's not concerned with her reputation, with maintaining an image of perfection. She is who she is, and she doesn't hide from it. Melania, on the other hand, has spent her entire life running from the truth, burying it beneath layers of success and public adoration. But now, the truth is staring her in the face, and there's nowhere left to run. The flight attendant was right about one thing: redemption isn't about what Melania wants. It's about what she does. It's about taking responsibility for the damage she's caused and doing whatever it takes to make amends. She can no longer live in the comfortable bubble of her carefully constructed world. She has to step outside of it, face the consequences of her actions, and try to make things right. But how? Where does she even begin? She's spent so long pushing people away, so long hiding from the truth. She doesn't know where to start, doesn't know how to undo the harm she's caused. The thought of facing the people she's hurt, of confronting the mistakes she's made, fills her with a sense of dread. But she knows that it's the only way forward. She can't keep running. She can't keep pretending that everything is fine when she knows it's not. Melania takes a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She knows this won't be easy. She knows there will be no easy fix, no quick solutions. But she also knows that if she doesn't take responsibility for what she's done, she'll never be free. She'll be trapped in this cycle of guilt and self-deception, forever trying to maintain an image that isn't real. The truth will always be there, lurking beneath the surface, and she'll never be able to escape it. As the plane continues its journey, Melania reflects on everything she's learned in the past few hours. The flight attendant has shown her something she's never truly seen before: the power of truth, the power of standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. The flight attendant doesn't care about Melania's status, her wealth, or her reputation. She cares about the truth. And that truth has forced Melania to confront her own failures, her own mistakes. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. But it's also liberating in a way. She thinks about the people she's hurt over the years, the ones she pushed aside in her pursuit of power. The flight attendant's mother, the people who believed in her, the people who trusted her only to be cast aside when they no longer served her purpose. Melania feels a deep sense of regret, but she also feels something else, an understanding. The flight attendant has reminded her of something she's forgotten: that real power doesn't come from wealth, status, or influence. It comes from honesty, from integrity, from the willingness to face the truth and make things right. The question now is whether she has the strength to follow through. She knows that it will take time, that it won't be easy. She knows that she will face resistance, that there will be people who will never forgive her, people who will never believe that she can change. But she also knows that she has to try. She has to make amends, even if it's difficult, even if it means facing uncomfortable truths about herself. The first step is acknowledging the damage she's caused, and that's something she's never done before. But it's time. As the flight continues, Melania feels a shift within herself. The weight of guilt still lingers, but there's also a sense of clarity, a sense of purpose. She knows that the road ahead will be long, that there will be moments of doubt and fear. But she also knows that it's the only road worth taking. For the first time in years, she feels like she's finally ready to face what she's been running from. The past can't be undone, but the future is still in her hands. It's up to her to decide what kind of person she wants to be moving forward. She takes another deep breath, steadying herself. The plane is still in the air, but she feels grounded in a way she hasn't in a long time. She knows it won't be easy, but she's ready to begin the work of rebuilding, not just her image, but herself. It's a long road ahead, but she's ready to walk it, one step at a time. The truth has caught up with her, and now it's time to embrace it. It's time to stop running and start making things right. The silence in the cabin is almost deafening, yet Melania feels strangely calm. The journey, both literal and metaphorical, has been long, but the destination is now clear. She had spent her entire life running from the truth, hiding behind the veil of perfection she so carefully crafted. But now, for the first time, she is facing it directly, no longer able to hide, no longer able to deceive herself or others. The weight of the past, the guilt, the mistakes, everything is inescapable. But there's a sense of clarity in that now. For the first time, she understands that facing her past isn't about perfection or redemption, but about the willingness to embrace accountability, to take responsibility for her actions. Melania looks out the window, the vast expanse of the sky before her a stark contrast to the turbulence within her. She's spent so much time being the face of grace, the epitome of composure, but the reality is far messier. It always has been. And now, that mess is hers to own. There are no more distractions, no more excuses. There's only the truth, and she has to face it head on. The flight attendant's words resonate in her mind again. You ruined her. You ruined everything. Those words are the harshest, most painful part of this journey. The flight attendant wasn't just accusing her of being careless or thoughtless. She was pointing out the very core of Melania's actions, the betrayal, the broken promises, the people left behind in pursuit of power. The flight attendant didn't just speak about the past. She spoke to the very essence of the choices Melania made along the way. Choices that brought her success, but also cost her the very things that matter most: integrity, trust, and loyalty. Melania doesn't know how long it will take to make amends, or even if she can, but she knows that the first step is owning up to what she has done. She's not sure what it will look like or where to start, but she's ready to begin. She no longer feels the need to shield herself behind the facade of perfection. The truth has already been laid bare, and it's impossible to ignore it. What matters now is what she does next. She recalls the people who trusted her, those who believed in her promises and aspirations. She remembers the faces of those she promised to help but failed. How many times did she walk away, focusing only on what she could gain instead of what she could give? The realization hits her hard. She thought she was doing what was necessary, moving forward with her life and career, but in the process, she left behind a trail of broken relationships. Those relationships are the real cost of her success, and no amount of power, money, or status can change that. She sits back, her fingers gently resting on the armrests of her seat. There's a sense of regret, a deep sadness, as the weight of her choices settles in. But there's also something new, something she hasn't felt in a long time: determination. There's a part of her, a deep-rooted part, that refuses to accept that this is the end. She will make mistakes, she will stumble, but she won't allow herself to stay in the shadows of her past. She knows she has to face the consequences of her actions, to seek forgiveness where she can, to make things right, no matter how difficult that journey may be. For the first time, she feels like she's shedding a part of herself, one that has been weighed down by the expectations of others and her own desires. The years of playing the role of the perfect political figure, the graceful First Lady, have left her exhausted. She's been so focused on appearances, on maintaining a status, that she forgot what really matters. And now, she's faced with the reality that she's lost much of what truly matters. It's not about how the world sees her, it's about how she sees herself now, in the wake of everything that has happened. She thinks about what the flight attendant said: It's not about what you want. It's about what you do. Those words stick with her because they cut through everything, through all the excuses, through all the reasons she had for why she couldn't change. Melania knows now that actions speak louder than words, and she can no longer hide behind empty promises. The only way forward is through accountability and change. It won't be easy, but it's the only path that leads to freedom. Freedom, she realizes, isn't about running from the past or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about embracing the truth and choosing to do better. There's no perfect solution, no quick fix. But she knows that if she can begin to make amends, if she can take responsibility for the damage she's caused, then maybe, just maybe, she can find a way to build something new from the wreckage. She thinks about the future, about what it might look like. There's no way to undo the past, no way to erase the pain she's caused. But there's still time. She can still change. It's a long road ahead, but it's a road that's worth walking. The idea of it scares her, yes, but it also excites her. For the first time in years, she feels the possibility of something real, something true, waiting for her at the end of it. As the plane continues its journey, Melania finds herself thinking less about the image she's built and more about the person she wants to become. The truth has caught up with her, and though it's uncomfortable, it's also freeing. It's the first step in a long and uncertain journey, but it's the only step that matters now. She's not running anymore. She's facing the consequences of her actions. And for the first time, she's ready to rebuild, to start fresh, and to embrace the person she truly wants to be. The past can't be undone, and the mistakes can't be erased, but Melania is ready to take responsibility for them. She's ready to face whatever comes next, knowing that she can't change the past but she can shape the future. The road ahead won't be easy, but it's the only road worth walking. And for the first time in a long time, she's ready to walk it.